Thank you for watching this video. Subscribe to my channel. Look, I have to confess something to you here. I truly underestimated how deep-rooted violence is within worldly people. I'm telling you, when you cast out the spirit of violence, it's then that you will realize how deep-rooted violence is in their thinking. Violence is so deep-rooted in their thinking that they can't even see it's violence anymore. I mean, okay, for those that have cast out the spirit of violence, you encountered weird circumstances, people doing dirty towards you out of the blue, people acting ugly, people don't know how to relate to you anymore. Some of the people you used to be close with, suddenly they can't even look at you anymore. What has happened? You are disconnected from the paranormal hold of violence, because violence has a paranormal root. Now you have been delivered from it. They are deep-rooted in that paranormal root of violence. So they operate in line with violence, even though they will not acknowledge this because they can't see it anymore. That doesn't take away that now that you are delivered from violence, that they can't relate to you how they used to be anymore. Now they'll have to evaluate how they relate to you, and they don't want to be confronted with themselves. But here's the thing, they can't take it out on you because you're free from violence. So they can't cope with it. So now the only thing that's left, or the only thing they're left with, is their own negative meditation, their own negative waste that affects them. That's why they begin to flee from you, because anytime they see you, they're triggered. But once they're triggered, they can't cast you out, they can't turn on you, they can't hit you, they can't point a gun or a knife nor any weapon towards you. It bounces back, and anytime it bounces back, they're the ones with the consequences. So they'll begin to flee from you. You get what I'm saying here? But when people flee from you, you'll be surprised how many so-called kind, respectful, good people will flee from you when you cast out the spirit of violence. You may think that a drug dealer will flee from you. You may think that the hardened psychopath will flee from you. You may expect some street talk or some, I don't know, some high professional criminal. You have those people that just, oh, those people are going to flee from me because I'm free from violence. But here's the thing, you have those that act out in violence openly, and you have those that finance violence with their way of thinking. And they finance it because they have the reasons for it, and the reason is violence gets them what they want, without them having to take accountability for what they are enabling. But those that enable violence, you often don't recognize them as enablers, because their conduct in society is quite peaceful according to societal standards. It's when you cast out the spirit of violence that their violence, their agreement with the negative, is exposed for what it really is. Around everyone else, they can be at ease because they're not exposed there. But with you, you walk in the light, their darkness is exposed. They can't handle it. Why am I mentioning this in this video? Just understand, you can't change those people. You can't. I don't care how loving, how kind, and how persuasive you are, they need to face themselves. They need to face themselves, be real, that means humble themselves and acknowledge they need help, that they need deliverance. And once they do that, they'll recognize sooner or later, most of the time sooner, they'll find out they need Christ. They ought to be born again, and after becoming born again, they ought to be renewed in their mind completely, and then they are safe. You can't change them. You can have an influence on them that's positive. You can have that for sure. You can hinder misfortune from happening to them because you're walking in the supernatural. You can do all of that, but you can't change them. You can't. So get this out of your head that you can change people. You can't. You can have an influence on them. You can push them in a certain direction, but changing them, no. It's easier to get people to become worse than it is to get people out of the negative. Because to cause people to become worse, you just have to enforce bad circumstances. But to get people out of the negative means they need to let go. And here's the thing, some don't even want to see they're holding on. They don't even want to face it. So how are they going to let go if they don't even want to see that they're holding on? I'm telling you, violence is deep-rooted in worldly people. in general. There are some worldly people that are completely against violence, and they acknowledge where they have weaknesses. They're realistic. You have such people, but overall, worldly people are deeply rooted in violence. If they were not deeply rooted in violence, then explain the type of world we have now. Yes, there are improvements, though to biblical revelation. You have human rights, for example. There are good stuff happening in the world. I acknowledge that. I'm not a pessimistic doom thinker, absolutely not. There are improvements, there are good stuff happening, acknowledge them. But overall, the human population still holds onto the negative. And if it was not for the restraining power of the Holy Spirit, the human race would have killed itself a long time ago. We would have made ourselves extinct. It's though to the restraining power of the Holy Spirit, all through biblical revelation, that, let me say, the hardcore relief seeking of the wicked doesn't get completely out of hand. So look, you agree with Christ, you overrule and overcome violence because you walk in the supernatural. Just realize you can't change people that don't want to acknowledge that they need to be delivered. That's it for now. Agree with Christ and be at peace.